Disclaimer: the following video will contain spoilers. After coming across two mysterious artifacts while mining, Steve, Jack Black, discovers a new world known as the Overworld, a sandbox realm where you can build anything you can imagine. However, his curiosity led to the discovery of the Nether, another realm where piglins run rapidly, wanting to destroy the Overworld. His want to protect the Overworld only makes Henry, Sebastian Eugene Hansen, Garret Garrison, Jason Momoa, Natalie, Emma Myers, and Dawn, Danielle Brooks, enter the Overworld where they would have to team up with Steve to defeat Malgosha, Rachel House. After many years of waiting with anticipation, the day finally arrived. A Minecraft movie was released. And well, let's just say there were mixed reviews. The craze for the movie was heard around the world. From fans to critics, this movie was widely talked about. There was a strong divide among viewers, where on the one hand, there were those who enjoyed themselves while watching the movie. And on the other hand, there were those confused on how this movie was successful. Wherever you land, one thing is certain. The theatrical run of a Minecraft movie is one we will never forget. From the memes to the countless theatrical, never-forgetting memories being made, to even a meme-along movie that was created, the movie soared high with popularity. But was the story or movie any good? Well, therein lies my conundrum. I cannot make up my mind. I know there is a story hidden in there somewhere, but unfortunately, there was too much silliness covering up said story that made it appear like a bad movie. Were there bad choices that hindered the storytelling, structure, or equivalent? Yes. However, some of these choices weren't altogether bad. Hear me out. The theme and message of the movie is one we can all resonate with. Unfortunately, it was a bit hard to grasp because of all the nonsensical scenarios this movie presented. The movie was a dumb, fun, and entertaining watch that, although some may disagree, it was successful. And in all honesty, despite what I will talk about in this review, it did capture a bit of Minecraft's charm. In short, it isn't a movie where you go crying out for a refund. So, at the end of the day, I think where a Minecraft movie stands is right on the borderline. Its silliness, incoherent, and incohesive story and structure could be accepted or used against this movie, depending on the viewer, of course. But one thing is certain in my opinion. Despite its flaws, it was entertaining. I think I stand with the many who actually like the movie, though some of it is for the wrong reasons. But enough rambling. Let's get started with this review. Personally, I believe a Minecraft movie was a good movie. Unfortunately, its silliness does mask part of what makes this movie good. Sure, it could have been better in these three fields, but when you dig deeper, you'll see the sort of genius approach this movie took. Those three fields are 1. Writing and story, 2. Characters, and 3. Theme. Let's begin. There's a story in here somewhere. When it comes to adapting video games into movies, I don't understand Hollywood's fascination with incorporating real-world elements. Whether it is the actual real world, where either humans travel to this new land, or these video game characters travel to ours, or having near resemblance to real-world events, mechanics, etc. It continues to baffle me seeing how it's almost necessary in their mind to include both of these elements or realms simultaneously. It goes without saying that at times it can work. But personally, if you can avoid it, do it. I would have much rather preferred a Minecraft movie to be solely based on the actual game and not based on real-world characters exploring this new world, as you run the risk of the audience not caring for these characters, as they may or may not have anything to do with the actual IP the movie is based on. There's also that weird collision with real-world elements working with fantasy ones, like how in-game mechanics just seem to work with humans all of a sudden. How you can just put these items in your seemingly invisible inventory, carry these items with no worries of weight distribution, to even place them at the flick of the wrist. While it does work in-game, It feels odd when you establish human characters able to perform these in-game mechanics with ease, with no explanation other than it exists in-game. With that said, an animated movie about Steve exploring these biomes, feeling alone and isolated, only to find Alex at the end of the movie, to me, sounds better than the concept of humans traveling to the overworld. Oddly enough, we technically got that in a Minecraft movie. And I did find myself enjoying this iteration of the movie. So, I guess I will give it a pass. All in all, I don't think the movie did that badly with this concept. That is mainly because of the way the theme and message of the movie were incorporated into these characters, navigating through the world and bringing forth that theme. But of course, I will talk about that in just a little bit. As for the story and its writing, well, the story here is pretty basic. It's enough for us to get by and follow these characters along. Though I wish the struggle each one has was emphasized more, I cannot argue that it is partially there. Though I'll come back to this note later, each character does have something in need of changing that the journey will help them grow. It is also enough for us to care for these characters. And well, comedic elements are a plus. So we come to like these characters, enjoying their silliness, and watching as they get stuck in the overworld. But for a quick and deeper analysis of the story in its simplest form falls under the genre Golden Fleece. As Blake Snyder explains in his Save the Cat Goes to the Movies book, a golden fleece has 3 things. 1. A road, whether it's as short as across the street or as far as separate galaxies. The road needs to demarcate growth. The good thing is that the movie incorporates a road, that road being the newly discovered dimension, the Overworld. Throughout our hero's journey, each one learns something from it, growing as a result. Garret learns to let go of his past and embrace the new, even forming a team with Steve. Dawn utilizes her ability with animals to finally ditch those 15 side hustles and have one job. Natalie learns about her self-defense in the most unusual way, now being able to defend her brother. And Henry learns to be creative, even if the world seems to throw obstacles his way. The bad thing is that the movie doesn't do it in the best possible way. For starters, we were never given a good setup with what these characters' flaws are and how the story will help overcome said flaws. While I would say that the movie does work with what we were given, it wouldn't have hurt to dedicate just another small portion, a scene or two, to help the other characters, Dawn and Natalie, with their setup. I know there is this scene that explains a portion of their flaws, or at least their wants/needs. I'm mainly referring to giving us this portion in the first 10 minutes.
My one job was to protect Henry and I blew it.
I hear you. Being a grown-up sucks. Ugh. You got all these responsibilities and you just stop chasing your dreams?
It also doesn't help that the theme was only stated towards Garret.
I need to win. When are you gonna stop looking for treasure inside a storage unit and recognize that the real treasure is inside your heart?
So personally, to me, it still felt like these characters were just thrown in there for the sake of being in the story, with no real reason until we get to the end. Mainly because the content of the story doesn't match their growth. It felt more like a series of scenes of these characters experiencing weird things in the overworld, not necessarily obstacles being thrown their way to help fix their flaws, while connecting together to form a cohesive story. Though I will expand on this in just a second. At the very least, the movie did a good job bringing all these characters together in a way that does not feel forced. Well, except on how Henry meets Garret for the first time. There really was nothing that made him want to visit his store before school. But in short, the story does follow a structure. Was it odd and weird at times? Yeah. Were there scenes or series of scenes where the story made absolutely no sense, even from a Minecraft's perspective? Well, yes. For example, after Steve explained the 3 levels within the Woodland Mansion, Garret says, "You know what will work on these guys? But it might sound crazy. without having any prior knowledge of the illagers nor musical instruments having some sort of power over these guys. It was just a silly thing thrown out there that doesn't make any sense. And yes, the movie is ridiculed with scenarios like this, much like the scene that follows this one.
Chicken jockey!
Point is, the movie does have the road, and it does serve its function and purpose. The next thing is 2. A team that helps guide the hero, typically by having qualities the hero has yet to learn, such as skills, experience, or attitude. Through the help of the other members of the group, and the journey of course, these characters would fix their flaws and grow as a result. But quite frankly, now that I think about it, I believe that team is Steve himself, and it coincides with the theme and what makes Minecraft so unique. Let me explain. Minecraft's avatar is Steve. With Steve, we explore Minecraft and form these memories, whether we like exploring, building, taming, and or fighting. Steve helps us achieve all these things, and I feel the movie took this approach. He is the one who tells Henry how creative he is. He is the one who teams up with Garret, forming this friendship bond. He is the one who gives Dawn the opportunity to befriend Dennis and help her remove all her side hustles. So in the end, Steve is a sort of anchor character that brings all these characters together and inevitably helps them grow. And as a result, because of these group members, he too lets go of his fears and grows as well.
Why don't you bring some of that magic to the real world?
Next, 3. A prize. Something that is sought after, stemming from that primal instinct, such as going home or securing treasure. The prize here is the Earth Crystal. When night arrived, hostile mobs attacked our group, leading to the Earth Crystal being shattered, closing that portal to go back home. That primal instinct is going home, obviously. And the only way to do that is by retrieving a new Earth Crystal.
Not without the Earth Crystal.
You mean that little boxy thing? Garbage man busted it.
Nuh-uh.
Now, only found in the Woodland Mansion. So in conclusion, while the movie contains all these 3 elements found in the Golden Fleece, I cannot argue that it was delivered in an unusual way. So I understand the criticism this movie gets from other viewers. Yet, I enjoyed it. I liked it, found it humorous, and think it's a pretty good movie. And I'm tired of pretending it's not. We, the characters. Before we can enter the overworld, or the Break Into 2 beat, we must first come to understand and know our characters. That way, we care for these characters during their plight, to remain with them throughout the journey, root for them, and be content with their victory at the end. The movie establishes the basic information we need to at the very least like our characters, and follow them through their journey. The problem, like I've mentioned, is not including what needs fixing in the beginning. By not including that, when we reach the montage at the end, we do get a bit confused because we didn't know they needed fixing. While it may seem redundant to explain this topic further, as the movie achieves the basic function of characters, I still want to discuss this issue because it may or may not help you with your scripts. If we go back to the beginning, we first learn of our character Steve. Through narration, we understand the world, his character, the MacGuffin, and lastly, the story. While there were moments within this montage that made no sense, like how Steve was able to escape the cage in the Nether, but not run through the portal when we clearly see he had time. The important part was laying down the pipeline of our world and characters. We then meet Garret, the garbage man. We see that he lives in the past, and cannot come to terms with reality. Not to mention that the team-based game he's overly obsessed with, he plays solo. Keep that in mind. With a failing business, he tries his best to get a win but keeps losing. On the other side of Chugless, Idaho, 2 siblings, Henry and Natalie, are moving into their new home, helped by real estate agent, among various other hustles, Dawn. Natalie has no idea what she's doing, but tries her best to support and help Henry. Henry tries using his creativity, but is constantly pressed about it. Though being chewed for the still art made sense to me, His attempt at building a rocket is a visualization at how skillful and creative he is, yet is turned down by his fellow peers.
It's kind of foolproof, actually. It's just math.
My dad said math has been debunked.
Check it out. New kid thinks he's a rocket scientist.
I'd love to be a rocket scientist.
So prove it.
Long story short, he meets Garret in this contrived way and accepts his mentorship. After the jetpack fiasco, Henry visits Garret's store and is intrigued by the two artifacts and puts them together, sending him and the group who's looking for Henry into the overworld. The issue is that the setup only really focuses on Garret and Henry. It wouldn't have hurt to show more of Dawn and Natalie's flaws or needs before the break into 2 beat. I say this because when Natalie tells Steve how the real world bullies people with huge creativity like Henry, Henry hears this and replies, "Then maybe I should stay here," causing a small separation between them. Natalie is failing at helping Henry, and Henry feels more at home in this strange place. A good short scene, but when nothing happens afterwards until they meet up with a change of hearts, it feels out of place. It feels like there's something missing. All in all, despite the small issue, what the movie did well with these characters is giving each one of these characters a core mechanic and characteristic of Minecraft. Dawn represents those players who love animals. Natalie represents those players who like PvP or PvE. Garret represents those players who like playing with friends. And lastly, Henry represents those players who like modding. And obviously Steve is the anchor who brings them all together. It was a genius move that when looking at it with the theme, it works. It was a cool way to bridge both the movie and real world elements to these video game characters because of how it works hand in hand with the theme that this movie heavily played on. Because of this decision, ultimately I feel that the movie actually did a good job with its characters, despite what I mentioned in my review. It's kind of genius if you think about it. Finally, what was the theme of the movie? Well, the key theme is to never stop being creative, despite how the world treats you. But it also coincides with the message of how Minecraft has helped everybody one way or another. Let me explain. The role of Minecraft is being able to do anything your heart's desire in your virtual world. The amount of builds some people have made is astonishing and amazing. And in a funny and odd way, the movie shares that concept. These characters are us. Whether we lean more to PvP, taming animals, playing solo or in a team, building, to even modding. We play Minecraft because it's fun. We step into this other world for one reason or another. However, the movie also shows and teaches us that we don't have to stay in this world of Minecraft. We can utilize our creativity and skill set and use that in the real world. And before I forget, another reason why this movie works is because of the antagonist. Obviously, putting the silliness and weird stuff aside, Malgosha has been ridiculed because of her creativity and want to dance. And what did she do? She said enough. Nobody has the right to be creative or have fun in any capacity, punishing those who try with such malice. Now she lusts for gold, wanting to venture into the overworld in order to plunder all its treasures, and her desire to achieve that goal has her perform these cruel actions that make the antagonist work.
What did I tell you about all that dancing? It's time for you to grow up. I'm tired of you chasing your dreams.
Was I unclear when I said no one was to waste time on art or leisure?
And how was she defeated? Through creativity and, well, Minecraft. Seeing it through this perspective has made me come to terms with how this movie utilized both the real world and video game realms simultaneously. Just like how these characters navigated through the overworld, we do the same thing in the video game. So in a weird and odd way, this movie is kind of a love letter to what Minecraft has been able to do with us over the years. So it is us, the viewer and players, personified through these characters in the movie. In conclusion, sure, the movie can be odd at times. Sure, the movie has a lot of flaws. Sure, the movie can be seen as a bad movie because of all the weird and nonsensical scenes that occur. But because of how, in my opinion, the theme and message was utilized, not only for these characters, but for the whole story, I really liked the movie. But I will confess, I also liked it because of its silliness and weird nonsensical scenes. Though this movie's genius take on how we, the audience and players, are represented with these characters, it's a bit sad that it was overshadowed by its silliness. However, I still think that this movie was successful, not just in a profitable kind of way. Now, if you'll excuse me, I kind of feel like playing Minecraft. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. Did you enjoy the movie? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you on my next review. Until then, God bless.